Has your money cleared back to your card yet?
Has your money cleared back to your card yet? Jordan asked, looking up from a vinyl chair outside pediatric cardiology while I stood in front of her with a 7-year-old boy's chart in my hand. 3 days earlier, she had been behind register 3 in a floral dress, one hand on a receipt pad and the other around a pen, refusing to let me walk away from a duplicate card charge I did not care about. The refund would take 3 to 5 business days, so she wrote down my number and promised to check it every afternoon. I had been exhausted enough to treat $28 as an inconvenience. I didn't know why that promise mattered so much to her. That night, the grocery store had been one last stop between Bluegrass Children's Hospital and my bed. My light blue button-down had survived a 14-hour shift badly. I needed coffee grounds, protein bars, and enough food to keep me from ordering takeout at midnight for the 4th time that week. The card terminal beeped. Then it beeped again. I checked my phone and saw the same $28 charge twice. "It's fine," I said. The cashier looked up. I was already turning toward the sliding doors. "I'm serious. Don't worry about it. I'm in a hurry." She did not move to the next customer. She checked the terminal, then the receipt, then the transaction screen again. "No," she said, "it isn't fine." She looked tired, a faint crease between her eyebrows, but she studied the error as if $28 deserved the same attention, whether I cared about it or not. "You were charged twice," she said. "I can submit the refund now, but it won't land for 3 to 5 business days." "Then forget it." Her hand flattened over the receipt. "I can't. The store has your money twice. It'll survive." "That's not the point." That made me look at her properly. She was not smiling. The softness in her eyes was patience, not flirtation. "Give me your number," she said, pulling a paper pad closer. I raised an eyebrow. "For the refund," she added. "I'll check the batch every day until it clears. I can update you from the store phone." I gave her the number because arguing was going to take longer than cooperating. She wrote it carefully, repeating the last 4 digits back to me. I would remember that exact picture later. Floral dress, pen in hand over a small notepad, register between us, me halfway out of the conversation, and her refusing to let an error become someone else's problem. "Jordan," she said when I glanced at her name tag. "I'll text tomorrow." "Eugene." "I know. It printed on the card receipt." "Right." The tension left her face when I finally stopped trying to escape. Not a smile, more like relief that I had agreed to let her finish what she had started. I took my bag and left, thinking she had just created 3 days of extra work for herself over $28. I thought walking away was the considerate option. 3 days later, I would learn what she had been carrying while she protected my money. My life returned to its normal shape the next morning. I was a pediatric cardiothoracic surgeon. Most of my day was built around decisions that did not tolerate vagueness. During rounds, a resident called the child's overnight numbers basically stable. I had him read the last 3 again. We changed the plan before breakfast. That was the world I understood. At 2:17 that afternoon, my phone buzzed. Refund still pending. I checked the batch. I'll check again tomorrow. "Jordan, register 3. I read it while standing at the nurse's station. "Received." "Thank you," I typed back. The next day, another message arrived from the same store number. "Still pending. Merchant side is closed correctly. Bank return hasn't posted yet. I'll check tomorrow." $28 still did not matter to me. The fact that she remembered did. The next afternoon, I caught myself checking my phone before it buzzed. That irritated me more than it should have. I had spent years teaching residents not to confuse a pattern with a conclusion, and apparently 2 refund texts were enough to train me like a lab animal. When the 3rd morning came, the refund finally appeared in my account. I opened the store thread and typed, "It cleared. You can stop checking now. Thank you for..." My pager went off before I finished. The consult came from pediatric cardiology. A 7-year-old with a congenital outflow obstruction had new imaging and lower oxygen levels. The repair had been planned, but the timing needed to be reviewed that day. I took the chart from a resident as I walked. Andrew Coleman, 7 years old. 2 measurements had shifted in the wrong direction. Not a catastrophe, but no longer a case I wanted sitting in a holding pattern while scheduling caught up. I told the resident to keep the next appropriate operating slot open until our review was complete. Then I looked up and saw Jordan. She was sitting alone outside the family console rooms, elbows on her knees, both hands pressed over her face. For a second, my brain rejected the setting. I knew her behind a grocery counter, with a pen in her hand and fluorescent lights above her. Here she looked smaller. Her shoulders lifted with one unsteady breath before she lowered her hands. She recognized me. Her eyes were red. She looked at the chart, then at my face, and the first thing she said was, "Has your money cleared back to your card yet?" I stared at her. "It cleared this morning." Her shoulders dropped half an inch. "Good. Jordan, why are you here?" She looked toward the pediatric doors. "My son." I looked down at the chart. Andrew Coleman. "Andrew is your son?" She nodded. She had spent 3 days tracking $28 for a stranger, while her child was being worked up for heart surgery. I sat beside her, leaving a full seat between us. "Tell me what you've been told." Jordan rubbed her palms together once. The repair was supposed to happen after the authorization finished. Then his oxygen numbers dropped. They repeated the tests this morning. One person says we may need to move faster. Another says they're still sorting coverage for part of the hospital stay. I keep getting different pieces from different people. Has anyone told you he would be denied urgent treatment because of the money? No. No, that's not what they said. I just don't understand what part is medical and what part is financial anymore. That answer mattered. I opened Andrew's chart. Okay, we separate them. She looked at me. The medical question is whether waiting is still appropriate. That's my lane. The coverage gap is not. We have people whose job is to handle that without asking you to make a medical decision based on a bill. Her mouth tightened. And what does his chart say? It says I want the surgical team to review him today. It does not say you need to panic in this hallway. A tired breath left her. I closed the chart on my knee. I'm one of the surgeons on the congenital service. I also need to disclose that we met outside the hospital. It doesn't prevent me from reviewing Andrew, but another attending will confirm the urgency if I become his surgeon. You have to report that I refunded your groceries? I have to make sure you never wonder whether meeting me changed his priority. For the first time, something other than fear crossed her face. Okay, she said. Then her voice dropped. I need you to help me understand this. I can do that. I asked if she wanted our pediatric social worker in the room for the financial side. She said yes. 10 minutes later, Sharon King joined us in a small family console room. Sharon had been navigating hospital assistance programs longer than I had been operating, and she had a gift for making systems sound human without pretending they were simple. I kept my explanation short. Andrew's new results did not mean he was crashing. They did mean I recommended repairing the obstruction in the next safe window rather than waiting weeks. A second surgeon had reviewed the findings and agreed. Then Sharon took over. There is an assistance program for pediatric families caught between what insurance is processing and what may remain uncovered, she said. It doesn't decide whether Andrew gets surgery or who operates. It handles the financial gap. Jordan's questions came immediately. If I sign it, can I still ask for another surgeon? Yes, Sharon said. Can I ask for a second medical opinion? Yes. Does accepting help move Andrew ahead of a child who is sicker? I answered that one. No. Medical priority stays medical. If another child needs the room first, that child gets it. I'm holding an appropriate slot while the team finishes review because Andrew's condition supports that timing. And if I decide I want someone else, then someone else operates. She watched me carefully. You'd be fine with that?
I'd rather you choose a surgeon you trust than choose me because we met over a broken card transaction. The card machine isn't broken, she said automatically. It was a duplicate authorization error. Sharon glanced at me. I almost smiled. Noted. The room loosened for 1 second. Then Jordan looked back at the consent folder.
I want you to do it, she said. If the other surgeon agrees with the timing, I want you to lead the surgery. And Sharon, yes, start the assistance application. I nodded once. All right. Sharon began gathering the forms she actually needed. I gave Jordan the part that mattered. My team handles the surgery. Sharon handles the coverage process. You still make every decision for Andrew. Jordan looked toward the door, where her son's room was somewhere beyond the hall. What am I supposed to do? Today? She nodded. Be his mother. Her eyes filled, but she did not look away. That's it? That's enough. The operation was scheduled for the next morning. I was not coming straight off another marathon case. The service chief rearranged coverage so I would have a full night's rest. I went home early, ate something that could barely qualify as dinner, and reviewed Andrew's imaging once more before I slept. At 6 the next morning, before I scrubbed in, I stopped in pre-op. Jordan sat beside Andrew's bed, holding his hand. Andrew had the solemn expression of a child who knew every adult in the room was trying too hard to sound normal. His hospital socks were much too large, yellow grips folding under his heels. I pointed at them. Those are ambitious socks. Andrew looked down. They gave me old man feet. Jordan let out a short laugh before covering her mouth. He's not wrong, I said. Then Andrew looked at me. Are you the one fixing it? I'm the one leading the team. Does it hurt? Not while we're doing it. You'll be asleep. When you wake up, you'll be sore, and we'll help with that. He thought about it. Mom says you're very good. Jordan looked embarrassed. I said the nurses said that. Smart answer, I told her. I went through the plan one last time, the possible changes, the risks, the things I would not know until I saw the anatomy directly. When I finished, I looked at Jordan. Any question you haven't asked because you're trying not to be difficult? That landed. She swallowed. If you find something different than the scan? I adjust. If the safe plan changes in a way that needs a decision from you, we stop and talk. If it's within what you've already consented to, I use my judgment. She nodded. Okay. Then she looked at Andrew, then back at me. I trust you with that part. There it was. Not blind trust, delegated trust. I carried it with me into the operating room. The surgery took a little over 6 hours. Andrew's anatomy was more complex than the images had suggested. We modified the outflow patch, protected the valve tissue we could, and brought him off bypass steadily. No heroics. A trained team doing difficult work well. When I finally walked into the family waiting area, Jordan stood so quickly the chair legs scraped the floor. I did not make her wait for a preamble. He's stable. Her hands flew to her mouth. The repair is holding well. His oxygen numbers are where I want them. He's going to the cardiac ICU now. Jordan closed her eyes. For a moment, she stayed standing, as if she had forgotten what came next. Then her knees softened, and she sat down hard. A nurse brought her water. Jordan took the cup without saying, "I'm fine." She drank. For once, she let someone else take care of the next 60 seconds. "Thank you," she whispered. "You can see him when the ICU team is ready." She nodded. Sharon came around the corner and crouched beside her to explain what would happen next. Jordan listened, then looked at me. "Go," she said. "You look like you've been awake for a week." "Only 6 hours." "That's not better." I went back upstairs, despite myself. Andrew's recovery was steady. There were no dramatic reversals. He had pain, hated the breathing exercises, and negotiated over every hallway walk. But day by day, the tubes came out, the numbers settled, and he looked more like a 7-year-old boy and less like a patient. On rounds, I explained results.
Jordan asked good questions. I left. But I noticed things I did not need for the chart. She learned every nurse's name. Instead of buying cafeteria coffee, she kept a cheap packet of instant coffee in her bag because the cost added up. Even the night custodian who emptied Andrew's trash got a thank you by name. When Andrew complained about walking, she did not shame him or bribe him. She walked beside him at the same slow pace and told him they were going to the window and back. That was all. I started looking forward to his room. About 2 weeks after surgery, Andrew was walking the hall without oxygen and expected to go home soon. I found Jordan in the cafeteria during a quiet stretch, turning a paper cup of tea between her hands. I bought coffee and stopped beside the table. "Can I sit?" She looked at the empty chair. "You're asking permission to use hospital furniture now?" Occupational hazard. A small smile appeared. "Sit." I did. For a minute, neither of us talked about Andrew. That felt stranger than talking about his heart. Jordan reached into her wallet and pulled out the folded slip of paper from the grocery store. My number was still written on it in her neat handwriting. "I tried to give this to the manager once the refund cleared," she said. "Then I thought that was weird, so I kept it." "You could throw it away." "I could." She said it between us. The refund cleared. Sharon says the assistance application was approved for the uncovered hospital portion. Whatever insurance settles later gets reconciled through billing. I am not bringing you a financial question. Good. I'm bringing you a different one. I waited. Do you ever let anything be finished without disappearing the second your part is done? The question was plain enough to get through every defense I had. I looked at my coffee. Usually. Why? Because staying can create expectations. Whose? I looked up. Jordan was not accusing me. She was asking because she wanted the answer. "Sometimes theirs," I said. "Sometimes mine." She leaned back. I gave her the less flattering truth. I'm good when there is a defined problem. I know what I'm responsible for. I know when I've done it. Outside of that, I tend to decide people are better off if I don't make things complicated. Jordan tapped one finger against the folded paper. "You decided that at my register, too." I laughed once, quietly. Apparently, I have a pattern. "You thought leaving would make my life easier." "I thought I was saving you work." "You were making me chase a refund without a customer." That shut me up. She took a sip of tea. "The thing that helped me most here wasn't that you had access to something I didn't," she said. "It was that you told me what you knew, what Sharon knew, and what I still got to decide. I could accept help without guessing what it cost me. It didn't cost you anything with me." "I know." The certainty in her answer reached me harder than gratitude would have. I wanted to stay at that table. I wanted to ask what time her shift started when she went back to work. I wanted to know what she ate when she wasn't living on vending machine crackers. I wanted information that had no place in Andrew's chart. That was exactly why I did not ask. "Andrew is still under my direct surgical follow-up," I said, "so I'm going to keep this simple." Jordan's gaze held mine. "I like talking to you," I said. "More than I should while I'm responsible for your son's care. When that responsibility ends, if I still want to see you, I won't pretend it's about medicine." She did not look embarrassed. She did not look grateful. She looked relieved by the clarity. "Okay," she said. "Okay?" "Yes." "I know how to say no, Eugene. You don't have to say it for me in advance." I sat back. I pointed at the paper. "Keep that." "Why?" "Because you earn the right to decide when you're done with it." She folded it once and returned it to her wallet. For the next several weeks, I did exactly what I had said I would do. Andrew came back for surgical follow-up. His incision healed. His energy returned. His long-term care moved to pediatric cardiology. At the final surgical visit, I reviewed the echo, answered Jordan's questions, shook Andrew's hand because he insisted he was too old for a high five, and closed the chart. After they left, I documented the handoff. Then I sat at my desk and stared at the wall for a full minute. The professional reason to see Jordan was gone. So was the excuse. I had her phone number, nowhere appropriate for personal use. The hospital record was off limits. The refund text had come from the store line. I could either leave it alone or go to the one place where she had first permitted me to stand in front of her. For 3 days, I chose to leave it alone. On the 4th, I drove past my apartment.
So, what did you come in for today?
Ask you to have coffee with me. At 6 in the evening, I walked into the grocery store. Jordan was at register 3. I grabbed a basket because walking straight to her counter with nothing in my hands felt unreasonably dramatic. Then I wandered the aisles and discovered I had no plan beyond showing up. I put cereal in the basket, olive oil, batteries. I did not need any of them. When I reached her register, she looked up and stopped with one hand on the scanner. Eugene. Hi. Her eyes dropped to the basket. Do you live around here now? No. She scanned the cereal. Did the hospital stop selling food? No. The olive oil beeped. She held up the batteries. Power outage? No. She set them down and looked at me. Andrew's surgical care is closed, I said. Her expression changed slightly. I know. I wanted to make sure there was no confusion before I did this. Did what? Ask you to have coffee with me. A cart rattled in the next aisle. The register behind her beeped twice. Jordan stayed still. I kept going because I had promised myself I would not hide the reason inside a joke. The first time I met you, you were protecting $28 that belonged to a stranger, while you had much bigger things in your own life. I remembered that. I remembered you. I came here because I wanted to see you, not Andrew's mother, and not someone attached to a chart. Her eyes softened. If you say no, I leave you alone. I know. I waited. Yes, she said. Then she raised one finger. Next week. I tried not to react. Andrew has his independent cardiology check on Tuesday. I want that done first. I want to sit across from you and not spend half the time wondering whether I should ask you to interpret something. Next week. Jordan scanned the batteries, and I tapped my card against the terminal. She handed me the receipt and the bag. And Eugene? Yes? Buy something you actually need next time. I looked down at the batteries in the bag. That seems like a high standard. Her mouth curved. I walked out before I could make the conversation too easy again. Tuesday afternoon, my phone buzzed while I was eating a protein bar at my desk. The number was unfamiliar. He's cleared. The cardiologist says everything looks good. This is my personal number, not the store phone. Do you get off at 6? Jordan. I read it twice, then a third time because apparently elite training did not protect a man from behaving like an idiot when the right woman texted him. I wrote back, 6:15. You choose the place. She chose a small diner halfway between the hospital and her neighborhood. I got there first. For once, I was not wearing scrubs or carrying a chart. Jordan came in 10 minutes later in jeans and a cream sweater, looking around until she saw me. The first few minutes were awkward in a way I liked. We knew important things about each other and almost nothing ordinary. I knew what her face looked like after 6 hours of surgery. I did not know what she ordered for breakfast. She knew I could explain bypass to a frightened child. She did not know I lived on takeout. We corrected that slowly. Jordan told me she had gone back to regular shifts. She had also started a simple refund error log at the store, so a duplicate charge could be tracked across shifts without relying on one cashier's memory. Your manager approved that? After I showed him how much time we wasted reconstructing the last 3 errors, I looked at her. What? Nothing. That's the face you make when you're about to diagnose something. I was thinking you're very good at your job. She looked surprised. People usually call it being picky. People are lazy with compliments. That made her look away for a second. Then she pointed at the protein bar wrapper sticking out of my jacket pocket. Is that dinner? It was emergency insurance. Against what? Hunger? Jordan stared at me. What do you actually eat at home? I assemble calories. That's not cooking. I didn't say it was. She laughed. I liked hearing her laugh when no emergency had earned it. When the check came, I reached for it. Jordan put her hand over mine. It was the first time she had touched me outside anything clinical. I asked you here, she said. I'm paying. You chose the diner. I asked you first. And I'm choosing this too. I let go of the check. Jordan paid, then looked at me while she put her card away. Are you free Sunday morning? I can be. I walk at the park before my shift when the weather is decent. Is this a second date? Do you need a formal diagnosis? No. Then yes. I smiled. Sunday. When the weekend came, we started with a walk and ended at Jordan's kitchen table because Andrew had a math worksheet he had decided was personally insulting him. He pushed the page toward me. Mom says you know math. Your mom is setting me up. Jordan leaned against the counter with a mug in both hands. You said you passed math. I did. Andrew pointed at a fraction problem. Then why does this say 3/4 plus 1/8? Those don't even match. I pulled the pencil closer. That's rude of them. He looked suspicious. Can you fix it? I can show you how. That's doctor talk for making me do it. Jordan laughed into her mug. I drew 2 quick fraction bars, then pushed the paper and pencil back toward him. Andrew stared at the page, worked through the problem, and finally wrote the answer himself. 7/8, he said. Exactly. He looked at me. So you didn't fix it? No. You just made me fix it. Jordan's smile softened when our eyes met over his head. He's catching on, she said. A few minutes later, Jordan checked the time, kissed the top of Andrew's head, and reached for her keys before work. Andrew tucked the worksheet into his folder. I stayed in my chair a second longer than I needed to. After that, the relationship built itself in small, visible pieces. Sometimes she came to my apartment. The first time she opened my refrigerator, she stared at the sparkling water, eggs, cheese, and an indefensible container of rice. This is worse than I expected. I've been busy. Sunday, grocery store. I'm teaching you how to buy food. I know how to buy food. You bought batteries to ask me out. Fair point. Jordan did not start taking care of me. She had her shifts, Andrew, bills, and her own tired evenings. What she gave me was ordinary time. A message saying they were at the park. A chair at her kitchen table while Andrew did homework. 10 minutes beside her car after a late shift because neither of us wanted the evening to end. I found myself rearranging things I used to treat as fixed. I stopped volunteering for every extra consult just because I was available. I protected one Sunday morning on my calendar when I could. I learned which nights Jordan closed the store, not so I could rescue her from them, but because I liked being the person waiting outside when she came through the doors. She changed too, but not by becoming less capable. One Thursday, I arrived at her apartment and found her on the couch while Andrew heated soup under her supervision. You sick? I asked. Exhausted. And you're sitting down. She gave me a look. Shocking, I know. Historic. Don't ruin it. So I did not. She had traded a shift with a coworker and taken the evening because she was worn out. 6 months earlier, she would have treated that as failure. Now she ate soup, let Andrew complain about vegetables, and let me wash 3 bowls without turning it into a debt. About 7 weeks after our first dinner, Jordan came to my apartment on a Friday night. We were making chicken, rice, and vegetables. I had bought all the ingredients myself. Jordan inspected the counter. You remembered onions. I am trainable. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. That was enough banter for one kitchen. She opened her purse for her phone. Her wallet caught on the lining and fell to the floor. 2 cards slid out. So did a folded piece of receipt paper. We both saw it. My phone number, written in blue ink. Jordan picked it up. I forgot I still had this. No, you didn't. She looked at me. Okay, I knew I had it. Andrew's medical follow-up was separate now. The hospital assistance case had been closed and reconciled. The refund had landed months ago. Jordan was working regular hours again. She did not need my access, my money, my job, or my approval. And she was in my kitchen because she had chosen Friday dinner with me. There was nothing left for me to solve. The thought should have made the relationship simpler. Instead, it frightened me. I turned toward the stove and reached for the burner knob even though the pan was already on low. Then I took 1 step away from her. It was barely a step. Jordan saw it anyway. Don't. My hand stopped. Don't what? Do that thing where you decide you're leaving before I've answered anything? I looked at her. I wasn't leaving. You were getting ready to. She crossed the space I had opened and caught my hand before I could put it in my pocket. That was the false move exposed for what it was. Not respect, not restraint. Habit. I looked down at her fingers around mine. I've spent most of my adult life being useful, I said. It's easy. People tell you the problem, you do the work. You leave when it's done. Jordan did not let go. I don't have a job to do for you anymore. No. I don't have anything left that makes you need me. No. My instinct was still to step back. Her hand kept me honest. I don't want to leave. Jordan's expression softened. Good. I let out a short, that's all I get? No. She stepped closer. You get the answer. Her free hand settled against my chest. I didn't ask you to coffee because you operated on Andrew. I didn't invite you into my apartment because the hospital helped us. And I am not standing in your kitchen because I owe you gratitude. I know. I want you here, Eugene. The words took the last excuse away from me. I closed my fingers around hers. I love you. Her eyes shone, but she did not look away. I love you too. No crisis, no gratitude. No one owed anyone an answer. I touched her face, waited a second, and kissed her. She kissed me back. The oven timer went off halfway through, and neither of us moved for several seconds. Then Jordan, against my mouth. Your chicken. I know. Elite competence. Different department. We saved dinner. Later, Jordan picked up the old receipt paper from the counter. She folded it along the worn crease and held it out to me. You keep it. Why? Because I don't need it to track anything anymore. I put it in my wallet as a keepsake, not a record. 10 months later, waiting outside the same grocery store had become part of my week. I leaned against the brick wall near the entrance while Jordan finished closing register 3. Andrew sat on a bench inside with a backpack at his feet. When he saw me through the glass, he came to the doorway. Eugene. What? If Mom says broccoli again tonight, you're voting with me. I don't get a vote in your vegetable policy. Jordan called from the register. Correct. Andrew. This family has no democracy. I opened the door wider for him. You still have appeals. To who? Not me. He, like a man abandoned by the justice system, and went back to his backpack. Nobody in the store looked twice. Somewhere along the way, waiting for Jordan to close and arguing with Andrew about vegetables had stopped feeling like visiting their life. It felt like being part of it. A regular customer, Mrs. Gable, followed Jordan toward the exit with a grocery bag on one arm. She spotted me through the glass. "There's your doctor," she said to Jordan. "You got lucky with that one, after everything he did for you two." I felt the old discomfort before I could stop it. Jordan did not. She locked the register drawer and answered in the same tone she used when correcting a price. He was Andrew's surgeon. That part was his job. Mrs. Gable blinked. Jordan glanced through the glass at me. Dating him was my idea. That was all. No speech about rescue, no public gratitude ceremony. Just the truth. Mrs. Gable smiled. "Well, good idea." Jordan opened the door. I looked at her. "Your idea?" It was. I remember buying the batteries. And I remember texting you after the cardiology appointment. She had me there. Andrew ran ahead toward my car. "Can we go home now?" he called. "In a minute," I said. Jordan stopped beside me. She had worked a full shift. A strand of hair had escaped near her cheek. There was nothing cinematic about the parking lot. Shopping carts clicked together near the return. Someone started a truck across the road. It was exactly where I wanted to ask her. I reached into my pocket. First, I pulled out the folded receipt paper. Jordan recognized it immediately. Then, I took out a small ring box. Her eyes widened. "Eugene! The first time I stood at your register, I decided for both of us that leaving was the easier, kinder thing." She looked down at the paper. I was wrong. I opened the box. "I don't want to decide for you now. I want to ask." Jordan's hand covered her mouth. "I want the ordinary part. Your late shifts, Andrew's homework, my terrible grocery instincts, Sundays when nothing happens. And when something does happen, I want to be beside you, because you chose me there, not because you needed me there." I took one breath. "Will you marry me?" She was crying before I finished, but she was smiling too. "Yes." I stayed still. Jordan through the tears. "Yes, Eugene, you can put the ring on." So I did. Andrew, from beside the car, shouted, "Did she say yes?" Jordan turned toward him through her tears. "She did," she called back. "Good, I'm hungry." Jordan and grabbed the front of my shirt, pulling me down for a kiss. When we separated, she looked at the old piece of paper still in my other hand. "You really kept that." "You told me to. For once." I folded it and put it back in my wallet. The first night I met Jordan, I had chosen the door for both of us, because I thought leaving would make her life easier. I never made that choice for her again. I asked, she chose, and I stayed.